What's up, Doomers? Welcome back. No, I'm not dead. I just have other stuff to do with my life. But we're back. We're doing another video. I don't know who we are because I do this alone. Today, I'm going to address something that the internet asks a ridiculous amount, and even more ridiculous amount of people get it wrong. And I'm not just being an asshole about it. They genuinely do, because there is an answer to this question. What is a transparent overdrive? The simple answer is a Timmy. I don't have a Timmy. I do have a huge array of overdrives here. I say huge because for someone that doesn't like tube screamers and barely likes overdrives at all, I've got a ridiculous amount of overdrives. But seeing as I don't have a Timmy, I have this instead, which is a K-Line Pure Sky. This is a Timmy clone, essentially. That is your transparent OD. But why? Sorry if I don't look at the camera, by the way. I've upgraded and it's now got a flippy out screen, so I'm just staring at myself. Well, while different overdrives can have different clipping characteristics and different ways they respond to how you play, the general consensus, I'd like to say general consensus, but people are getting wrong. Basically, a transparent overdrive should not screw with the EQ much. Right, so we know a tube screamer is all about a mid bump, and that can be great for certain applications. Most of the time it's shit, but sometimes you just want your clean sound to be a bit dirtier without having this sort of radical peak and cut shift that so many of them do. And where people get it wrong is frankly choosing pedals that still do that. So we're talking about people mentioning Blues Breakers or the JHS Morning Glory, not transparent, and particularly mentioning clones, which I can see a debate for, and we're going to have a look at here, but I wouldn't call it a transparent OD. Not like the Timmy, not like the Pure Sky here, and I'll show you why. So let's go to the board. What do we got? Here is my clean tone. Here's the blues driver. Hopefully you can hear just a bit of that sort of sheen coming through. And here is the Pure Sky. Now, if you wanted transparent, there's your fucking answer. Can you hear the difference between me turning it on and off? If you say yes, you're bullshitting. If you say yes, then you hate my Batman socks. And none of you hate my Batman socks. Here's the OD3. So the OD3 isn't too hyped. It does get particularly a bit of treble aggression, so there is definitely some sort of boost there. Here on the King of Drive, fuck am I getting a real king of tone. I don't even like this one. Considering it doesn't even stack well with itself, why am I going to wait for 15 years to get a proper one? I've got one side set to distortion and I've got the other side set to a boost. I have to keep these tones really high. I don't know if that's true to the original, if that's just how bad this clone is. So you can hear that colours the sound quite a bit. Let's hear the boost side. So even with the tone up, that actually seems to taper some high end off and maybe give it a low end boost. Definitely colours it in a certain way. Now we get to the clone. The clone is interesting, the soul food rather. From what I hear about this circuit, basically the drive sections don't engage at all until you start rolling that up. It's not like it's always on and you're just hitting it harder or softer. They don't do anything. So that's pretty transparent. This is where it's arguable. No drive, kind of transparent. But then it's just a boost pedal with a treble control. So arguable whether that's a transparent overdrive, considering that it's only like that when you don't have any drive on it. And if I sneak the drive in, and the higher it goes, the more it does it. Very much just sort of telephony focused sound there. That's next door's dog. So jury's out, I say. Here's the rat on low gain. Not dissimilar. to that blues breaker sort of sound. It's an upper mid-range. I could probably bring in the filter a little bit more. You know, the Rat isn't just a flexible distortion, it's a flexible overdrive as well. So here's the orange burst. I don't actually know how the tone stat works on this, so I'm just gonna keep it at noon and see what we get. So that to me, instant tube screamer. There's no drive there, right? But it's just gone whoop. Done that tube screamer bump, taken the high end off, taken the low end off, popped it through in the mid-range. We've got the Key West here, and on the left-hand side is K-Line's Mellow Drive, which is a Zen Drive clone. That, surprisingly, is the tube screamer sound that I use as a tube screamer sound that I actually like. The Zen, or at least this copy of it, the Mellow Drive, seems to need to wake up. Quite like the Rat does. The Rat, when you put the distortion on completely off, it like barely comes through. It has to be engaged somehow. So you have to just feather it just on. And that's doing a fairly typical tube screamer thing, but maybe a bit more chime in it. Then, of course, the Bad Monkey, the infamous Bad Monkey. No, I did not buy this during all the hype. That was actually bought before the Tube Screamer. I thought I'd upgrade to a Tube Screamer because I had a cheap naff Bad Monkey back in like 2005. I gave the Bad Monkey to my best friend and he kept it in a drawer or something. I don't know if he even used it. But then the Bad Monkey video came around and I was like, do you mind if I borrow it back? And here it is. Okay, here's the Bad Monkey. And theoretically, it should be very similar to the Orange Burst. The high end's just like completely rolled off. But you can definitely hear they're pushing the same frequency, right? It's like the same centered concentration of the frequency bump, which is a broad bump, but you know, it has to center somewhere. So here it is. Here's the TS9. As you can hear, every single one of them changed the EQ slightly. It either brought out some shine, it took away some shine, it boosted the low end, it took away the low end. Did one thing or another, other than the Klon being a little bit debatable. I mean, there's just so little in them. This whole chunk of 4 down here, whatever you fancy, whatever's cheapest. This one's really cheap, it's great. This one is between 50 and 60,000 pounds. I really feel that these three and the low gain Rat are very similar. And that's why I do think they say the 1981 DRV has a Klon-like character. It's like having a low gain Rat, but with a bit of Klon rolled in. I think a low gain Rat has already got a bit of Klon rolled in because it's kind of what it does. Although that adds a load of circuitry and it's got its own mojo. A low gain Rat is very much, for me, in the ballpark of this blues breaker area of where it boosts its mid-range. So it's either like a tube screamer like this, or it's a blues breaker where it sort of does it a shorter one and it's a little higher up. So what can you do with them? Well, different amps will respond differently. So if I put my tube screamer at full whack and I change the single coils and I have my amp on the black plate mode. It's a sort of mid-scoop Fender, if you like, and I put on a tube screamer. I'm going to go with this guy. That little mid-range lift can really show you why people are going to like it. If they're playing a Strat on its, you know, out of phase positions, the position 4 or 2, they're into a scooped amp like that, and they turn one of these on. Even a Klon. Especially when it gets louder. I have a sneaky feeling most people love Klons just because it got fucking louder and they can't tell the difference. So we could talk about, a tone comes alive and it gets this compressed character and all that kind of stuff. It just got louder and it got a mid bump. So that's just my amp on distortion in the basement mode, pushing all those mid ranges. Now let's push some more mid range. But if I do that, then I need to use my effects loop for delays and things. And if I've got a classic bassman, there is no effects loop. There's no effects loop on this guy. So if I want to keep my delays clean, then I need an overdrive that sounds like my amp that can run before all those kinds of effects that would otherwise get mushed up. So this is my amp on overdrive. Here's my amp toned back, so the amp is essentially clean using just the pure sky. So you heard a clip at the start with some heavy stuff. Tell me what pedal it was in the comments, and on the next video, next video, I'm making you come back. Next video, I'll tell you which one it was. But until that time, fuck you, Doomers.